Good evening. Tonight, we bring you breaking news that could reshape the very foundation of American economic policy and presidential authority. In a historic decision, the United States Supreme Court has struck down President Trump's sweeping tariff policy, declaring it unconstitutional. The ruling has sent shockwaves through Washington, igniting fierce debate among lawmakers, business leaders, and citizens across the nation. The atmosphere outside the court was electric as the news broke, with crowds gathering to witness this pivotal moment in American history. The court's decision effectively ends the administration's aggressive trade war, a policy that has defined global commerce for the past year. Tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of goods have impacted nearly every American household, raising prices on everyday items from groceries to electronics. Businesses, both large and small, have struggled to adapt to the rapidly changing trade landscape, while farmers and manufacturers have faced uncertainty and shifting markets. The justices, in a majority opinion, agreed that the president overstepped his constitutional authority by imposing tariffs without explicit consent from Congress. This landmark ruling upends decades of precedent regarding executive power in trade matters, reaffirming the vital role of checks and balances in our government. Legal experts say this decision could have far-reaching implications for how future presidents wield economic power. Billions of dollars in tariffs are now invalidated, forcing the administration to urgently rethink its economic agenda. The sudden reversal leaves businesses scrambling to adjust their strategies, while government officials face mounting pressure to develop a new approach to international trade. The future of American trade policy is now more uncertain than ever, with ripple effects expected to be felt across the global economy. In the coming days, we'll break down what this landmark decision means for you, your wallet, and the broader economy. We'll also explore how America's place in the world may shift as a result of this unprecedented Supreme Court ruling. Stay with us as we continue to follow this developing story and provide expert analysis on its far-reaching consequences. To understand the Supreme Court's decision, let's look at the policy at its core: reciprocal tariffs. President Trump's approach was simple: match other countries' tariffs on U.S. goods, aiming to level the playing field for American workers. This marked a sharp break from decades of free trade, with tariffs imposed broadly on allies and rivals alike. The administration's goal: boost U.S. manufacturing, raise incomes, and shrink the trade deficit. But the unpredictable rollout, tariffs announced, paused, and threatened again, created chaos for businesses and consumers. Instead of stability, the policy injected volatility into the global economy. Critics argued it hurt American families and businesses more than it helped. Legal challenges erupted across the country, sending shockwaves through the legal and business communities. The courthouse steps became a battleground, with lawyers, reporters, and protesters all converging to witness what many called the most significant constitutional dispute in decades. The air was thick with anticipation, as the nation braced for a legal fight that would test the very foundations of American government. As soon as the tariffs hit, their impact rippled through every corner of the economy. At ports, customs agents scrambled to enforce the new rules, while factory workers anxiously awaited news about their jobs. On Wall Street, the financial markets responded instantly, with stocks swinging wildly, as investors tried to make sense of the new trade landscape. A coalition of businesses, large and small, banded together to file suit. They argued that the president had overstepped his constitutional authority, seizing powers that the founders had explicitly reserved for Congress, namely, the power to regulate foreign commerce and impose duties. Their lawsuit was not just about dollars and cents, but about the balance of power at the heart of American democracy. The administration, for its part, defended the tariffs by pointing to decades-old laws that allowed the president to act in the name of national security. But critics argued that these new tariffs were sweeping and indiscriminate, ensnaring even America's closest allies and threatening long-standing economic partnerships. The case, American Importers Alliance versus United States, moved with unprecedented speed through the lower courts, propelled by the urgency of the economic fallout. In a matter of months, it landed on the docket of the Supreme Court, setting the stage for a historic showdown. For businesses, the stakes could not have been higher. Many faced layoffs, closures, or bankruptcy if the tariffs remained in place. For the administration, the case was about defending the president's ability to act decisively in times of crisis, a test of executive power that would echo for generations. The justices now faced a fundamental question: had the president gone too far, violating the Constitution's carefully constructed separation of powers? The answer would shape not only the future of U.S. trade policy, but the very limits of presidential authority. Inside the Supreme Court, oral arguments were tense and dramatic. Justices pressed both sides, probing the boundaries of executive authority and the intent of the founders. The courtroom was packed, and every word was scrutinized by a nation eager for answers. As the country watched, the fate of U.S. trade and the delicate balance of power between Congress and the president hung in the balance, awaiting a decision that would reverberate far beyond the courtroom. The Supreme Court answered with a unanimous 9-0 decision against the administration. The justices ruled that only Congress can impose sweeping, economy-wide tariffs. Presidents cannot act alone. The opinion dismantled the legal basis for the tariffs, stating that existing laws don't grant the president a blank check to reshape trade policy. Overnight, the tariffs on Canada, Mexico, China, and autos were rendered unenforceable. Legal experts call it a landmark ruling, reasserting Congress's constitutional authority over trade. The White House now faces a choice: seek new legislation or abandon its protectionist agenda. The tariffs hit American families hard, acting as a direct tax on imported goods. Studies projected an extra $500-200 per year in costs for the average household, with prices rising on everything from groceries to electronics. Middle and low-income families bore the brunt, as inflation and higher costs strained budgets. The promise to protect jobs fell flat. Manufacturers relying on imported parts saw costs soar, making them less competitive. Uncertainty chilled investment and hiring, with businesses hesitant to expand. Even construction was hit, with projections of hundreds of thousands fewer homes built. For many, tariffs brought instability, not security. The tariffs sent shockwaves through global supply chains, disrupting years of planning and recovery from recent crises. Companies scrambled to reroute production, but the unpredictable policy left even allies like Mexico and Canada facing steep duties. The result paralyzed logistics, delayed investments, and a global slowdown. Diplomatically, treating allies and rivals alike strained relationships and eroded trust. Key partners began forging new trade agreements without the U.S., weakening America's influence. The Supreme Court's decision offers a chance to repair alliances, but rebuilding trust will take time. America's go-it-alone approach left it more isolated on the world stage. Economists widely agree. The tariff strategy backfired. Instead of reviving manufacturing, tariffs raised costs for U.S. industries deeply tied to global supply chains. The policy's unpredictability discouraged investment and slowed growth. Experts argue that real competitiveness comes from investing in future industries. AI, clean energy, advanced manufacturing, not trade wars. Collaboration with allies, not isolation, is key to setting high standards and competing globally. The administration's approach was seen as backward-looking, propping up old industries while the world moved forward. The lesson: America needs innovation and partnership, not protectionism. The Supreme Court's ruling doesn't just end the tariffs. It cripples the administration's economic platform. The White House is left scrambling, with little chance of convincing Congress to restore the policy. Political opponents and business groups see the decision as vindication, shifting momentum away from the president's agenda. The debate now centers on who controls trade policy, Congress or the president. This ruling reasserts congressional authority and may spark a more collaborative approach to trade. The era of unilateral, president-led trade wars appears over. The future of American trade will be shaped by debate, not decree. The Supreme Court's decision closes one chapter in the ongoing story of American trade policy, a story marked by bold moves, tough choices, and the constant balancing act between protection and progress. Yet as the sun rises on a new era, it opens another chapter, one filled with both uncertainty and opportunity for American trade. The path of unilateral tariffs is now blocked. The old playbook of acting alone has reached its limits. The world is watching to see what America will do next. Now, the nation faces a crossroads. We must choose a smarter, more strategic way forward, one that recognizes the complexity of global markets and the power of collaboration. True competitiveness isn't about building higher walls or closing doors. It's about investing in what makes America strong, innovation that leads the world, education that empowers the next generation, and infrastructure that connects us all. These are the foundations of lasting prosperity. Rebuilding alliances is crucial. By working with our partners, we can set higher standards for trade, labor, and the environment, standards that benefit everyone, not just a select few. This spirit of cooperation strengthens America's global leadership and ensures our voice is heard on the world stage. The future of trade policy now belongs to Congress and, more importantly, to the American people. It's time to engage, to debate, and to demand a strategy that's not only forward-looking and fair, but also inclusive and resilient. Across the country, voices are rising, calling for a trade policy that protects workers, supports small businesses, and ensures that prosperity is shared by all. The choice before us isn't between surrender and self-destruction. There's a better way, one that embraces change, adapts to new realities, and invests in the future. Innovation, investment, and cooperation are the engines that can drive American prosperity in the 21st century. By supporting research, building new industries, and working together, we can create jobs and opportunities for generations to come. When we collaborate across borders, industries, and communities, we unlock new possibilities and strengthen our position in the global economy. The Supreme Court has cleared the way for a new approach. The responsibility now rests with all of us. It's up to us, policymakers, business leaders, workers, and citizens, to shape America's economic future with vision, courage, and unity. The question remains, what kind of future do you want for America? The answer starts with the choices we make today.